you know, I'm here. I'm your son. I'm your daughter. And I love you. And I'm grateful to be with you, to know you, to feel you, to call myself your son or your daughter. That really allows God to feel welcome. So when us, as a community of brothers and sisters, when we gather together like this, when we gather together as a people who have the identity of a community centered on God, where we call God our Heavenly Parent, and we attend God together as our Heavenly Parent, you can bet that God feels welcome here. Aju? There's no other place that God has to be than right here with us this morning. When hearts are crying out and longing out for God, God has to be there, just like a parent. You know, when anyone here who's a parent, if your son or daughter is crying out to you, Mom, Dad, I need you, are you going to go make some dinner? In that exact moment? Probably not. Are you going to go brush your teeth? Are you going to go knit something? Probably not. If your son or your daughter is crying out to you saying, Mom, Dad, I need you, what are you going to do? You're going to run to your child. You're going to drop what you're doing and you're going to run to your child. And you're going to sit there and you're going to be with your child. Now, maybe some of you hesitated because you know that you have children that like to call out mom and dad all the time or something. But for God as our Heavenly Parent that loves us so much, can't stop thinking about us, can't stop worrying about us, can't stop wondering how we are. For that God, for that Heavenly Parent, when we cry out, when we long to be with our Heavenly Parent is right there with us. Right there in that moment. And when we gather together, when hearts like ours, when we as a Heavenly Parent's holy community are collectively expressing to God, God, we want to be with you. We want you here. We want to feel you. We want to know you. Then Heavenly Parent shows up. Shows up in our hearts, shows up in our conversations, shows up in our smiles, shows up in our waves, shows up in every interaction that we're having as brothers and sisters. Have you heard the expression, home is where the heart is? Have you heard that before? Home is where the heart is. There might be a similar adage in Japanese, I'm not sure. And probably Spanish as well. Home is where the heart is. And personally for me, I grew up in Pennsylvania. Not too far from here in Pennsylvania. I can't help, even to this day, to feel like my heart is in Pennsylvania too. Because you know, I grew up there, and my parents still live there. Well, my sister is still there, my brother-in-law. A lot of friends are there, some relatives are there. I've had so many special experiences, so many special moments. You know, challenging moments, joyful moments, interesting experiences. And most especially just being with my family and my relatives. My heart, kind of can say like a piece of my heart is in Pennsylvania. Maybe that's true for those of you who've lived in other places too. If you come from another country, there's a piece of your heart that's probably still in that country, right? That feels like your heart is there. And your heart can be here too. But a part of your heart is still there. And what's it like when you go back to that place that you call home? When you've been away for a long time and you come back, what do you feel? What do you feel when you've been away from home for maybe a couple weeks, or maybe a couple months, maybe even a couple years, and you go back to that place? You feel comfortable, right? You feel comfortable, you feel at ease, you feel, oh yeah, this is where I belong. It's a sense of belonging. It's a sense that I'm where I'm supposed to be. And I'm known here. And honestly, you can be your true self. You're the good, the bad, and the ugly, as they like to say. You can just be yourself, who you are, and it's okay. You're kind of, it's understood. Oh, yeah, that's who you are, and you're welcome here. My hope is that we can more and more and more create that sense of feeling of belonging in our community, in our Heavenly Parents Holy Community of Clifton. That I hope you know that to me, you belong here. And that for me, each one of you is part of our family. And whenever you get the family together, let's say there's a holiday or there's a birthday celebration, maybe one member of the family is not able to be there. Maybe they have a work situation, or maybe they're living in another part of the country and they can't make the trip. But don't you feel it when somebody's missing? You feel it, right? Oh, man, my brother's supposed to be here, he's not here. And you still have a good time, it's still enjoyable, but you kind of miss that member of the family that's not there, and you want them to be there. That creates the feeling of home. That creates the feeling of belonging and being connected. I hope that we can really be like that. I remember for me and for Layton, we moved into this community of New Jersey over 4 years ago. And so we made this community our home. We've made this community our family over the years. But at the beginning, I didn't feel like that because Layton had grown up in Washington State, and I had grown up in Pennsylvania, and we had a certain community and family that we were used to, that we knew, right? We kind of called some of the parents of our friends aunts and uncles, and we felt like we had brothers and sisters and some of our friends within our church community in our respective states, Pennsylvania and Washington. But I distinctly remember that after a time living here in New Jersey, I began to feel like we belonged. And I began to feel that this is our community. And I was trying to think about what happened. Why did that change? And I remember it's because people started to recognize us. They started to know our names and know our faces and know our kids and kind of know our situation, and they'd ask about us. When we came into the church, they'd say hello. And it wasn't just like, oh, hi stranger, it's nice to see you. But like, oh, it's so nice to see you. How's your mom doing? How's your sister doing? And I realized that it had changed for me, that I felt this is my community. And I belong here. I realized that even when you grow up in a place sometimes, if you grow up or you've come to, and you've been a part of a community for a long time, if you go away, and you're away from the community for a while, and then you come back, if you're not embraced and welcomed with open arms, if you don't find that somebody recognizes you and say, oh, so-and-so, I'm so glad you're here. Oh, it's so good to see you. How have you been? How have you been? What's going on? Then you might not feel that you belong. I hope that anyone who starts to come back and connect with our community again can feel they belong. Would you like that?
Yes.
Who here likes to feel that you belong? I think that's pretty universal. I think we all feel that. We all want to belong. We all want to be connected to each other. And I know that in our society, our greater community, outside of our Heavenly Parents Holy Community, that's true for pretty much all human beings. Want a sense of belonging, want to feel they can call somewhere their home. That's not just their physical home, not just their physical family. And I think there's lots of brothers and sisters sisters that would call themselves a unificationist, or maybe say they connect with the unification community, that may be looking to be able to say, I belong at the Clifton Family Church. I belong in this community. So as we're coming back and we're celebrating being together, and I want us to celebrate being together, I want us to get to know each other again, because actually we might feel a little uncomfortable because we haven't been interacting as much lately. You know, it's kind of like we went away on a trip and now we're coming back, and maybe some things have changed. You know, maybe things have changed in your life. You've had some experiences over this last year. So we kind of have to get to know each other again. We need to ask questions. We need to ask, how are you? How's your mom? How's your sister? How's your son? How's your daughter? And hear each other's stories. Hear each other's experiences. And when we do that, actually, we kind of do it on behalf of God, who's asking after us. This beautiful song that our band played, you know, God leaves the 99 to go after the one. God's always concerned about each and every person, and especially about the ones that maybe aren't thinking about God or aren't thinking about others necessarily. That's the one God's thinking about. God wants to connect with. And actually, when we connect with each other, when we take time with each other, when we show our joy at being together, then God is reaching other people through us. God is embracing someone through us. God is getting to hear the story of someone's life through us. We become the channel that God can reach his and her sons and daughters. There's another passage here I'd like to read to you from the Jeotsunga, Book 8, Chapter 4. God has been striving endlessly to save humankind through his providence. Even though we human beings are fallen, he does not abandon us. Even though we fall prey to sin and evil, who is it that rescues us, lives for us, and endeavors to guide us to the land of blessing? It is none other than who? God. One more time. It is none other than
God.
God. God strives endlessly throughout the providence of history to reach each and every person on this earth, including us, including you, including me. Just because we are connected to a community of faith, and even we're making an effort to devote ourselves in our lives of faith to God, just because we're doing okay doesn't mean that God says, oh, they're fine, I don't have to worry. God always is concerned about us. Always. Always. God is thinking about you, interested in you, wants to connect with you. And definitely concerned about the ones that are a little bit farther away, that aren't as close and aren't as connected. God just can't be comfortable or happy or at peace until all of the children of the family come back home. Can say, this is my home, this is my family, this is my community. For God, no one leaves his and her heart. No one leaves God's heart. God always feels the children, even if they're away from home, are still in the home of God's heart. But we can't feel that unless we open up our heart, unless we connect. So God can't give up on anyone, no matter what the circumstances are. God just can't do it. God just loves people so much. God loves each person so much, no matter how eccentric they are. No matter they do something they shouldn't do, no matter they are, well, you fill in the blank. Whatever the situation might be, God is longing after his sons and her sons and daughters. I hope that we can be a part of this initiative of God to reach out and extend out our hearts to welcome in our brothers and sisters into our home here as a community of faith, as a family of faith, that we can really open up and welcome in all our brothers and sisters and allow them to feel, and us to feel, this is our home and we're connected. True Father says in the Chunsangyang Book 9, Chapter 1, we must break through in our community. We need to do that because it fulfills the desire of God throughout history. Does True Father say it would be nice if we did that? It would be nice if we had a community breakthrough? Does True Father say, well, if you have some time, if it's possible, have a community breakthrough? Is that what True Father is saying? No. What's True Father saying? What word is True Father using? We must. We must break through. Not, it's okay if we break through. Maybe we should break through. We must break through. Woo. Are you ready for a breakthrough? Are you ready for a breakthrough, brothers and sisters? Do you want to see this community come alive? Really come alive? Are you ready to come alive? Because it starts there. It starts with us, starts with you, starts with me. We gotta feel it in our hearts. Put your hand on your heart. You feel your heart? Who's in there? Who's in there? Who's in your heart? All right. And if you don't feel it, make that your goal this week, to feel God in your heart. If you don't feel that I'm a dwelling place of God, and that my heart is God's home, then challenge yourself to feel it this week, to let God in more. And that way, when we come back together again, we'll feel it more. We'll feel it more. If God is in our hearts, the more we feel it in our hearts, the more we feel it from each other, the more anybody else who walks in to this place will feel it. We'll feel it. It's also how we talk, how we hold ourselves, what we ask, what we do. That creates the sense that we're Heavenly Parents' holy community. It's not the name, it's not the building. Who is it? Myself. Who is it? Myself. It is us. It's us. It's we, the people of the Heavenly Parents' holy community, create the sense that we belong, that you belong. And I'm so excited that I get to do this together with you. I really am. I really am grateful for our community, our brothers and sisters, the aunts and uncles, the sons and daughters, the nieces and nephews, the grandpas and grandmas. This beautiful, beautiful community of people. What a blessing to be here. What a blessing to be with you. And I want more people to experience that. I want more people to experience what we have. And I want people that I knew when I was growing up that maybe have been away from home for a long time. I want them to feel that again. And I want to see some of my aunts and uncles that I don't see anymore come back and feel this is their home. Would you like to see that?
Yes.
Are you ready to open up the doors of our hearts to let those people in?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Then brothers and sisters, let's have a breakthrough. Aju?
Aju.
A community breakthrough.
Aju.
Let's do it. Raju? Thank you.
You. All right, let's have a break, you brothers and sisters. Let's get one more. Thank you for your wonderful message, Pastor Cynthia. Brothers and sisters, we're going to take 5 minutes to reflect. You can reflect on your own, or if you would like to turn to your neighbor, again in a stately manner, just turn to your neighbor and you can reflect for about 2 minutes each. Those of you on Zoom, you're going to see a breakout invite pop up on your screen. Go ahead and accept the invite. You can share what came up for you during Pastor Crescento's sermon. All right, please share something that came up with you during the sermon.
They're having sharing about the sermon. Each pair will share what they understand about the message today.
30 more seconds and then we'll switch partners.
So these brothers and sisters come to the church after 1 year. Welcome everyone. This is our Sunday service live from Clifton, New Jersey. Welcome back, brothers and sisters.
Right, go ahead and switch partners if you haven't switched already.